All right, here we go.
Take two. Take two. Coming live from, what was your studio called again?
I like to call it the Ficus Tree House.
The Ficus Tree House, which makes sense, being on the third floor.
And my record label is called Ficus Tree Music.
Ficus Tree Music.
Yeah, I haven't put a lot out on my own label recently, but yeah, I've had that label going since 2009.
2009, yeah. I was doing some research on you, sir, and I saw that your presence kind of came about right around 2010, more like the social media prominence.
Sure, yeah.
By the way, my first guest here on this Juan Time podcast is Jeff Gonzalez, also known as Jeff Service. He is a deep house DJ and producer. Deep house.
Deep, funky, tech house. Yeah, there's lots of different names for the genres, but house.
No, for sure.
Underground being the first, first and foremost, underground. Nothing
above ground.
Nothing above ground.
And, you got to be first to the table. I guess that's the whole idea, right?
Yeah.
Well, I am pretty ignorant myself to house music, and I'm one of those that would have probably just said, techno house.
Yeah, a lot of people just kind of lump it all together like that.
You
EDM,
hear EDM
is kind of the newer term.
Yeah, you just hear like that, that ones and twos, right?
Right, yeah.
And
four on the floor.
4 on the floor. Yeah, and so we all lump it in. And so I would like to maybe get a little education from someone like yourself.
Sure, I'm going to probably not do it justice, but...
Well, on the internet, nobody does anything justice.
Right. So I guess, house music, originally came after disco in the early, mid-'80s.
No shit.
Yeah, in Chicago. It was pretty much born in Chicago after the whole disco scene. Chicago and New York kind of grew up at the same time. So that's sort of the style that I stick to is like an old school sort of Chicago style. A lot of people call it jackin' house because it makes you jack your body. But yeah, a lot of people could go into that for a long time, but I try to keep it raw.
Yeah.
My stuff tends to be sample heavy, kind of like a hip hop style of production, but house music. That's
because I'm a big fan of hip hop and some rap. And the samples, a lot of people will talk crap on. I actually wanted to, make a post the other day about an old rocker guy being like, "Oh, I can't stand hip hop or rap. They sample or they don't make their own music." And then he throws on Led Zeppelin, who was just sued for being studio musicians and ripping off other artists.
Yeah.
So I just take it as inspiration.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everything is derivative of something else.
For sure.
There's a lot of house music artists or so-called artists that do a lot of really heavy sampling and not so much creativity, and that stuff, it can definitely get a dance floor moving, and that's fine. But I like to, say that I try to do something a little bit more original and a little bit more my own, even though it's sample heavy.
Yeah, but you're still influencing it and give it, the Jeff Service signature.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're doing it service. But what I was gonna say is on the sample stuff, why I like it is because it actually opens me up to other artists as well. So if I know that you're sample heavy, or I just know that a hip hop song is generally gonna have a sample, I will look into who they sampled.
Find the sample.
Find the original.
Definitely. That's kind of how I first started making the style music that I make. Back before I got anything signed, I was making music already, and I was trying to make house music. But I sort of was I just didn't understand, I guess, that a lot of artists were sampling. So I was trying really hard to make house music for a long time without any sampling
from scratch.
And I was really frustrated for a while, and that's kind of when I realized that other people were doing it, then I was able to, kind of dig into the, soul and funk and disco music that I was, I was listening to on the radio quite a bit.
With bell bottoms, disco.
Yeah.
You getting down?
Yeah.
Got a little
Not
bit of
that I
night
was
fever.
around, back then, but, back, in the early 2000s when I first started DJing, I would always listen to the soul classics radio station, and that's where I got, most of my sample ideas back in the day, is just listening to
Where
the
did you
radio.
start DJing?
Memphis, 2001, I guess. I bought my first set of decks and mixer vinyl,
Hey.
back in the day.
Original.
So I started then on my own. I didn't really know any other DJs. I had kind of just gotten into house music, and trance music was big back then, which is kind of like more of a fast-paced, more. It's hard to explain.
I'm always
genres,
interested
but-
on how the genre gets its name.
Yeah, well, trance, I guess, because it it puts you in a trance. It's more more melodic, more big build-ups and then drops, and Paul Oakenfold back in the day. That's the kind of stuff that got me into house music. And then I went to my first rave in 2000, and I heard Daft Punk One More Time.
Okay.
That was like, I had heard a little bit of house before that. I was into the Chemical Brothers. I was into some electronic music. But until that point, like, I had not really felt like that house beat. And so one of these DJs at that rave played One More Time. Like, I think it was before it was even out on the radio and stuff like that. And that I was just hooked after that. And then I bought the turntables and started buying records at the local record store.
Record stores.
Yeah, Venus Records in Memphis, Tennessee. A little shout out to Dave Silver. Yeah, that's kind of where I bought all my first vinyl, and got to know other DJs and started learning the proper way to mix and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's nice that you go out there and are, seeking out.
It's not like
you're
that
in the
anymore.
environment.
It's so different being a DJ now, buying music online. It's just a whole different thing. We used to look forward to the trip to the record store when on that day when we knew they were getting the new stuff. Sift through a bunch of records, listen to them with headphones on. Standing there with the vinyl in your hand.
Everything has its pros and cons for sure. It's easier to find
it's
the music.
so much easier and so much cheaper now. But nothing compared to that trip to the record store.
No,
that
you're
feeling.
you're losing the feeling that and interacting.
And when you pay more money for something, you cherish it more, and
it's a physical piece.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's in your house every time you see it. It reminds you of your trip there and maybe who you met there too. Hey, I met this acquaintance or this contact from me going there for this album.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And another thing was, living in Memphis, there's a handful of house DJs. We're a pretty close group, but you
have to be.
When
you're surrounded by
we're
country.
we're all shopping at the same record store. So he would get 2 copies of something, right? So that means 2 people in the city have that track, and nobody else has it because it's not unlimited digital downloads. It's a piece of wax that only 2 people in the city now have. So like your DJ set was more your own back then too.
Oh, that makes total sense.
Yeah, there were tracks that nobody else had that I had.
Yeah. So that would make it, you could, I guess, sell yourself better, or people would be more gravitated to like, hey, next time this guy's on, I really need to check him out because
absolutely.
he's kind of got the lock on these tracks.
And that's how I was a fan of the DJs that I knew there too, and that's how I felt about them. I was like, I'm just can't wait for him to play this song. I love that. I can't wait to hear what I know he's gonna play.
Yeah. But you have an idea of what he's going to play, but what would be like something that he would do differently to a track Like not someone in specific, but just in general.
Yeah. So with house music, the mixing process is like a longer processing, I guess, than, with a hip hop DJ, he's going to scratch for a while, cut it up for a while. And then maybe, when it's time to mix to the next track, there might be a few bars where both songs are playing together, and then it drops into the other one. But, with house music, it's not unlikely for two songs to be playing together for, a minute and a half to 3 minutes sometimes. And that's kind of what makes the more interesting DJs, to me, for as far as house music goes, are, how can you keep these two tracks together for a while, but not have them clash, have them work together for as long as possible. So that's kind of the idea.
I like that. Oh, I'm a sucker for mashups, man. Like two different styles of music, like whether it just be like the vocals from one and like the instrumental from another.
Sure. Yeah. That's a big part of when I first started making tracks. I was big on using instrumental samples from maybe a soul or a funk record, but then a hip hop a cappella on top of that. So I guess you could say like that style of house is basically is mashups.
Yeah. No, I fucking love that shit. Oh, we cuss on this motherfucker.
Hell yeah. I noticed, I was listening to your first one today, and I noticed it had the E next to it for explicit lyrics.
It was funny. I think the first one, like the pilot.
I didn't listen to that one. I listened to the death one.
The death? I don't know if I threw explicit. Did I?
I didn't go through the whole thing, but I didn't notice anything on that.
I don't know if I did or not. Because if I did, I uploaded it without, and maybe I get in trouble by the big man. No. I just want to keep this like open, just like a free flowing conversation. That's why like you asked me a couple things when I first got here, and I was like, I'll go ahead and save that.
Seal it off for the.
But we did spend the last hour making a track.
Something that was fun. Yeah. That's something I rarely do is work with somebody next to me in the studio. I have a partner, Kai, that I work with quite a bit.
I've seen some of that.
Over the past 2 years, we've worked together quite a bit. And, for the first while, we would work together side by side all the time. But then it kind of got to the point where we both wanted to go in a different direction. We're both kind of have the same idea as far as what we want to make, but, I guess, having two heads in the studio can be not like we ever got in fights or anything, but I want to do one thing at the same time that he wants to do another thing. So it just sometimes it doesn't work out quite so well. He lives across the country now in Cleveland. Okay. So, it works out, just sending stuff back and forth. I think a little bit better because, you're able to get a full idea out before you send it off, and then let him get a full idea out, and then so it tends to work better that way. We still do get together when he comes in town and work together in the same room, but a lot of it's more just kind of jamming. Like he'll get on the guitar and I'll be on the synth or making drum loops, and he'll be on guitar, and we'll just jam out. And then rarely are we ever going to use actual guitar in a track, but just getting ideas for melodies and
the blueprint. The blueprint, and then tweak it, and then make it fit your genre.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that works better for us. Just when we're together, let's just be as creative as possible. Yeah. And not try to nail anything down. I guess just be as creative as possible and get some ideas out, and then I'll take one of those ideas and do something with it. Get a basis for a track down, and then send it over to him and let him do his thing. Yeah.
Give each other time without, you losing your direction or your train of thought in that moment because he has an idea.
Sure. At that point. I mean, I guess that could probably go for any sort of, I'm trying to get out of the realm of just house music, because I'm sure people aren't that interested in the way house music is made, but I think that can go, for any sort of, situation where you're working with somebody else's.
No, for sure.
Allowing, each other to
Yeah.
get your full idea out. And
Hats off to bands, man.
exactly. Yeah.
Freaking 3, 4.
My favorite band, 311, has been together, same 5 guys for like 30 years now.
Damn.
Yeah. And
That doesn't happen.
just, yeah, exactly. And I think them and like Rush are some of the only bands that have that
Yeah,
can
but they're
say that.
Canadian, so
Yeah.
everything in
They're
the
so
studio.
nice.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. No, yeah, that just doesn't happen. It's it's a miracle when it does, really,
Sure.
because you have such musicians are just emotional beings in general. So I really think like when you get 2 different styles clashing in a band, it's definitely tougher to stay together. So I always just say, man, hats off, some like Earth, Wind and Fire that has like 12, 15 members or so.
Yeah.
I get it. Maybe to the point where some of those are interchangeable as far as like session
I bet
artists.
they've been through quite a few. Yeah.
And who knows? That was back in the 70s too,
Yeah.
right? So shit was wild. I guess let's talk about some of your athletic endeavors. I always laugh
sure.
at the fact where I was, we worked together and I was staring at you across the way, and I've been wanting to get into ultimate frisbee.
That day was hilarious. That was so funny.
And I was just like, you kind of look like an ultimate frisbee guy. So I just, flung the comment across the store, and you're like, are you serious? Like, are you serious? I'm like, whoa, did I touch a nerve? And you're like, no, I play like twice a week. I was like, dude, let me get in. And it's been fun. I've been needing to get back out with you guys, but
yeah, it's been a little while. I haven't been quite as often as I used to go, just with work and everything, but still try to get out there as much as possible. I think I'm going Tuesday, so let's do it.
Ooh, Tuesday.
Yeah, so I guess, I'll go back to my first athletic. I'll tell you my whole athletic story, I guess. I was a baseball kid growing up. My dad was a huge baseball fan. I was born in New Jersey.
Jersey.
So I lived there until I was 9. My dad was a huge baseball fan, so that's what I loved at first.
So who's the team that they follow in Jersey? Is that
I was a huge Mets fan.
Ah.
It's either the Mets or the Yankees.
Or the
there.
Yanks, yeah.
And for some reason or another, my dad was a big Mets fan and always took us to the games. So baseball was my life for a long time. Growing up as a child, and then
what was your position?
I loved to pitch. I didn't get a chance that often to pitch, but I loved to pitch. But usually I played outfield, I think.
Okay.
I was an okay batter. I think I was just a little. I wasn't aggressive enough to be a good batter.
Those curveballs got to you, huh?
Yeah. So then, we moved to Tennessee when I was 9 years old, and I played baseball a couple of years there. But then I lost that because I started playing basketball when I moved there. Basketball was just much bigger there, it seemed like. So I started playing basketball. I fell in love with basketball, so that became my thing. Played basketball all through high school.
Makes sense.
I never made the high school team. So I didn't make the freshman team, so it was pretty much, no chance after that. But I still played throughout high school and after, and I really enjoyed basketball forever. And then, let's see, I got married. Fast forward quite a bit. Got married, got lazy, got real lazy. Didn't do much for a while.
Is that your ID that I saw in your wallet?
Yeah, sure. 40 pounds heavier than me. Yeah.
Oh man, it did not look like you. When I
Yeah.
saw it, I was like, oh, that looks like Jeff's wallet. Oh wait, this guy is not Jeff.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I just got lazy there for a while.
Bro, you ain't got to tell me, dude. I've lost 60 pounds, so
Yeah,
my hat's off
I've
to
seen
you.
those pictures too.
Well, let's keep those down.
Yeah, no, I'll never go back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got married, got a little lazy, got a little fat. Got fast forward again, got divorced.
Oh, okay.
And then, just kind of got sick of being chubby.
Yeah.
And just one day, I think I saw like in a magazine or something, I saw this UFC fighter's workout. And it was pretty simple, just like body weight stuff, and then a little bit of weights, and so that I started doing that like every day. And then one day I was just like, I'll go for a run afterwards.
Yeah.
And after having kind of gotten back into shape a bit, and then I went for a run, it felt really good. And so
Got that runner's high.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you run like 4 miles a day or something like that, right?
Right now, like 3 to 4. Yeah.
We'll just round up.
I used to, when I first got into it, I got up to 9-10 miles.
Damn.
Not every day, but I could do 9 or 10 miles at a really good pace. My pace is way down now, and my distance is way down as well. But I'm still doing it every day, and
that's the key. It's just showing up and doing it.
Yeah.
And
I'm trying to get a little bit back, more back into doing some free weights and body weight, actual kind of trying to bulk up a little bit, because sometimes when I just run, I just get ultra skinny, and it almost feels as bad as being fat.
Well, if you're not sprinting, if you're not doing a 40-yard dash or the 200-meter, and you're doing long distance, which what you're doing, you're gonna get lean muscles.
Yeah.
So that's just that you counteract it with some heavier lifting, which I've been getting into, because we do play basketball every Monday or so, skip here and there at the rec center.
Yeah, just like you.
Which
with
makes
Frisbee,
sense.
I haven't been to basketball in a while.
I'm
scared. Those guys bang me around. I'm a little guy.
Yeah, no,
I'm a skinny guy.
No, come on. You have really good use of your body, which made sense when you told me that you were into basketball in high school. I was like, yo, that makes total sense, because I did not expect you to be that good in basketball.
I'm really good at missing layups these days. That's my thing now.
You get in your own head. That's what it is.
I think it is.
You get in your own head and you're like, oh, don't miss this shot. This is the easy shot.
Yeah.
But I did play today, and I was nursing a bruised toe and ingrown toenail. This is going to get a little nasty, but I play soccer on Sundays. Well, my soccer cleats were too tight, and my foot got stepped on with some cleats. So I ended up going to urgent care, took some antibiotics, and I've been nursing it for like the last 3 weeks. And today, this guy went to cross me up, and he stepped on my foot, and fuck, bro, I just heard it go. And I just walked off, and I was like, I had just told them, I was like, this is my last game too. This is my last game, because I was going to hit the sauna, do some yoga in the sauna, shower up, and then head straight here. And I shouldn't have played that last game. But I really thought I was going to go to the urgent care.
I think that's what happened to me last time too. I think you were there when last time I went. We ended up playing 2 or 3 games
more than we needed to.
Everybody, after everybody was done.
Yeah,
and
Warriors.
I think I was just hurting after that. And,
everybody knew it.
Everybody
was looking around saying, "Yo, should we play another game?" And everybody was just kind of like, nobody wanted to say no.
Yeah.
I remember.
It's kind of good, but
Yeah, but you gotta know when enough is enough, because I was hurting the rest of the week, and that hinders, your ability to perform at other times. Like people think that you have to kill yourself. Like you feel like you need to run 9 miles every day. It's like, no, run that 3 to 4 like you're doing right now, and maybe work your way up, and every now and then run the longer distance. But recovery, man. And people think if you're not pushing yourself, you're not abusing yourself, your body, that you're not gaining anything. And it's like, there's a point of no return or diminished returns that you really have to be mindful of. And as I'm getting older, I'm definitely
I guess
recognizing that.
I guess I was like right about your age when I first, a little bit younger, when I think you're 30, right?
Unofficially.
29?
No, 31.
30.
Thank you.
31. That's right. So, I was like 28, 29 when I first started, after I got divorced, and it was like, all right, let's buckle down and start doing something. I lost that weight pretty quickly. Once I got the motivation and started going, that it came off real quick. I guess because I always was kind of skinnier, to start with. I just gained that weight when I just got lazy and I got old. My metabolism slowed down or whatever, but got comfortable, like you said.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I've always been a chubby kid, man. So like, I'm walking around at my high school weight right now, which was nice. Like high school football weight, which I'm from Arizona, so playing in August, 120 degrees. Helmet, pads, everything.
I love to
so.
run when it's hot out there. I love that,
It's
but
great.
I couldn't imagine wearing pads and hitting and being out on the grass. Ugh.
Yeah, they would just set like the hoses on the
Yeah.
whole time, and you would just go lie in the puddle for like 5 minutes and then run back out there. Yeah,
I guess growing up in Memphis, it was pretty similar out there.
Well, it's humid, right?
It's super humid in the summertime.
Fuck
Yeah,
humidity.
It's gross, man. It's so gross. I love it here. I could stand 120 all day.
yeah, especially if you're in the shade.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes all the difference.
Yep.
Yeah, shit, man. Well, yeah, it's a good thing you made the change, because that's what I've been working on myself. Is what people don't realize. It's really as simple as what you eat. I attribute all my weight loss to what I eat, how I eat, and when I eat.
Yeah, that was a big thing. I guess I didn't really mention mine. When I first started working out, I also just gave up like all sodas. I was already kind of like on the way out on soft drinks, but gave those up and really just started eating slightly better. And that's really all it took. I mean, is if you're working out a little bit and at least trying to eat like a normal human should, I think it's gonna just come off. The weight just sheds.
Yeah, you had given up coffee there for a minute too, right?
Yeah, that was recently. Yeah, that was more of a mind cleansing, I suppose.
For sure. I think I'm in the deep of it right
I
now.
was trying to do, I gave up smoking weed. I gave up drinking alcohol, all of it for a while.
Damn. How was
the
that?
al-
How was
and-
that high when you got back?
That's great. Just great. Yeah.
It welcomed you with open arms, huh?
Yeah, it definitely did. But even I realize now that everything is obviously best in moderation, and anything. A quote from one of my favorite 311 songs is anything. What is it?
Uh-oh.
Anything all the time is a drag.
Yeah.
Anything every day is just gonna be a drag.
Bro, like people think like they just want to, I'm gonna retire and I'm gonna move to Hawaii and just drink mimosas on the beach all day.
Yeah, you're
dude.
gonna end up
By the
hating
third day, you're fucking like losing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awkward silence.
Yeah, I knew that was gonna happen at least once. I was really surprised that we've been able to keep it going.
Keep it going.
Yeah.
Just having a stupid conversation with a great guy, Jeff. DJ Jeff Service. What is your YouTube, Instagram, Twitter? Do you have any social media platform handles?
Yeah, I kind of I've been on Instagram for years, but I kind of just now recently sort of started using it.
Mm-hmm.
For a while there, I had like 2 pictures on there for a couple of years. I don't even know. It's probably just at Jeff Service on there. I don't even know.
Are you sure it's not Jeff Service from Oregon?
No. Yeah, there is an actual Jeff Service out there. I think he's from Oregon. I met somebody in Oregon that knew him one time.
He was pretty upset when he bought a ticket to your show.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Yeah, thought his friend was going to be up there. Yeah, where were we?
Well, we were talking about your social media platforms.
Oh, right. Yeah. So Facebook is the biggest one. Facebook.
Just Jeff Service on Facebook?
Yeah. Jeff Service Music on Facebook. Yeah. I haven't thought about these in a while.
Yeah.
I'm not huge on social media, but I need to get back in there.
Well, if Jeff Service wasn't taken, I wonder what services Jeff is providing.
He just got lucky and got a cool name.
Yeah, I guess so. Unless his dad was shitty.
Right.
Probably hates his last name. Speaking of dads, dude, your dad has one of the coolest jobs, right?
Yeah. He's a television director. He started out, just working at the local in Memphis at the local, news station, sweeping floors, and went to college there in Memphis and worked his way up, and then he started working for NBC as a sports director.
Damn.
He's done all kind of huge sporting events for NBC.
Yeah. Like everything from like football to baseball.
Yeah,
to,
Super Bowls,
what?
NBA Finals.
He's directed a Super Bowl?
Several Super Bowls, yeah.
Several.
He was, for a while, he was the Super Bowl guy. He has Emmys.
Get the fuck out of here, dude.
Yeah, he's a big deal.
Dude, I thought his biggest thing right now is obviously he's the director of Live PD.
Right. So with his experience directing live television, with sports, they the folks over at what is it, A&E, decided they needed somebody with that kind of experience.
They needed his service.
Right. So he's on board with Live PD. And he's doing all the spin-off shows. They've got several other spin-off shows.
All the spin-offs. Yeah, they got like 2 or 3.
Yep.
Yeah, my wife's obsessed with those, dude. As our late friend Christian was as well. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know. He was stoked. I was like, "Yo, you been watching Live PD?" I was like, "Dude, you know what I just found out? Jeff's dad is the director." And he's like, "No way." Because the other thing Christian used to be into was like was directors and
he was a big film buff. Yeah. Huge.
Yeah.
I used to love talking to him about that stuff.
Dude, just a wealth of knowledge from that guy. Definitely miss him.
Yeah.
Not to put a downer on this, but yeah, such a great soul.
No, I was just thinking about him the other day. Yeah. I kind of wish I think a lot of times with the way that he was, he kind of, if he was in a certain mood, if you know what I mean,
mm-hmm.
he could kind of put you off, if he's, it'd be in a certain way. A lot of times I felt like I just shoved him off. Like I didn't want to deal with him being him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's sometimes for folks like that, because he was very just outwardly boisterous, and some of those folks can definitely set certain people off as far as like I'd rather just keep my distance.
Yeah. And I think another part of it is I've known a lot of people like him, and I've lost people just in the same way. Well, I guess maybe not in the same way, but I've lost people like him, and I guess I maybe put up some sort of a wall because I've lost friends to things. I know his cause of death wasn't necessarily from.
Yeah.
I don't know how much we need to go into this on the podcast, but
it was untimely to say the least.
Right. So I think maybe I put up some sort of a wall. Like I don't want to get too close to this guy. And I kind of regret that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause we were actually just talking about this last night, because my wife lost her mother, so my mother-in-law passed in December, and then my father just passed in February, and we're just talking about like the differences between our relationships, because she would talk to her mom 2-3 times a day. We would see her at least 2 or 3 times a week, and my father was living in Mexico, and was kind of distancing himself, and we would tell him to move back over to the States. Let's get you, with people that are constantly around you, because he was having, he was in older age, chronic smoker, which they told him to stop smoking in like 1989, and he never did.
Yeah.
But my wife was saying how, we kind of became calloused to his in and out of the hospital, and, he was always needing this or needing that. And, I felt so guilty because he did kind of feel abandoned, by me. Granted, I had 2 of my own kids, but, we did kind of like distance ourselves, in the sense of like, we have our own family to try and take care of, and you're not making the best decisions. So, we did a little bit keep our distance, and she was just talking about how she kind of regretted that.
Yeah.
Because you don't expect, and no, not even if you know that somebody's going to pass away in a certain like date or time, like you'll never feel like you got enough time with them.
Of course. Yeah.
Know? So we talked about that last night, and last night was rough as it was Easter. It was my mother-in-law's one of her favorite holidays. So definitely been a rough one.
Holidays are usually sort of, not tough, but not hard for me. My I don't know if you know this, but my mom passed away when I was.
Oh, I did not.
When I was 26 in 2008. Yeah. So right before I got married, right after my daughter was born, my mom passed away.
Wow, what a rough time.
From cancer. Yeah.
So it was cancer. So was it kind of like foreseen, or was still like?
Oh yeah, we knew for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Doesn't make it any easier. Right?
No, well, no. I mean, it doesn't make it easier. It doesn't even, it doesn't even make the initial blow easier.
Yeah.
It was tough.
How did like your father handle it?
My dad, so they were divorced
Okay.
already. So, and then my stepdad was in the picture.
Okay.
So my dad, was still there. He was, he was there in the hospital with us and everything.
Yeah.
As much as he felt comfortable being there.
Yeah.
And then my stepdad was there as well. Every step of the way, my stepdad was the big man, taking care of her, and because she was sick for a while. She initially was diagnosed, I want to say like 2000, excuse me. It was like 4 years before she died when she was initially diagnosed. I want to say 4 years. And then, they did chemo and thought it was taken care of, thought it was gone. And then it came back, and it was breast cancer at first. Then it came back, spread to her lungs, spread to her brain. Yeah. So eventually it was just lungs that got her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, needless to say, fuck cancer.
Yeah.
And the being who created it.
No joke.
Are you a man of faith, Jeff?
Sure. I'm not a religious man. I grew up, my mom took us to church every Sunday. My brother got quite into church. I was never, I never loved it. My brother Chris, he is now a pastor, so
I was about to ask you that. I could have sworn you told me that.
Took off for him. Yeah, when we were in high school, there was our church had the youth group, and he was friends with all those people, and he was really popular in the church scene. And for some reason, I was just a shy kid, and I tried a couple of times to go to the youth group with him, and I don't know. I never felt at home or welcome by all those people. Part of it was probably because my brother was there, and like I was 13 or 14, still trying to like become who I am.
Yeah, find who you are, and you're in his shadow.
Yeah, and he was always really popular, so it was a little weird when I kind of tried to get into the same group as him. So I kind of shied away from church altogether after that. And so I wouldn't say, as of now, I definitely would say that I'm a spiritual person, and I think about spiritual things a lot, and I try to meditate as much as I can. I'm not in practice as much as I used to be, but
same.
I try to meditate, and I just feel like inherently we all pretty much know how to be,
yeah, it's so
act.
Funny.
If you really think about it, what.
Yeah, it's so funny when people are like, well, how do you get your morals? Where do you get your morals from? And I'm like, well, I wouldn't want something to happen to me, so I'm not going to do it to you.
Yeah. I think in general, life and whatever, everything is pretty simple. We just like to create drama.
Yeah, we complicate things.
Yeah.
Complicate too many
which
things.
Makes shit fun, but
a little bit of a roller coaster.
If there wasn't the ups and downs, it wouldn't be anything. So
too much of anything is a drag, right?
Yeah.
Too much of the good.
Yeah.
That's one of the arguments, right? Well, why isn't God always good? Well, there has to be something to balance it, right?
Yeah.
I'm not religious at all, and I've slowly become to accept maybe like the spiritual side of things.
Were you growing up?
Oh yeah,
I would imagine.
Yeah, my
Catholic.
Oh, how'd you know? The olive skin, black
Makes
hair,
sense.
brown eyes. Juan. No, yeah, for sure. My mom, would take us to church every day or every Sunday.
Yeah.
And then in high school, I got really involved in the youth group myself, to the point where I think it was my confirmation, the priest of the little parish that we had, the deacon had come in from Tucson. And when I went up there to, I don't even know what it's called or what I do anymore, but I went up, I was face to face with them, and the priest looked over at the deacon and was like, this kid is going to be the next priest of this church. Like, he will eventually be here. And I was like, yeah, dude, I'm totally going to be there, Like, I was all about it. Not the celibacy side of it, of course, but
Sure.
I was totally into it. And then I got really busy with high school sports activities, really involved in a lot of the clubs, and so that just took up all my time. And I always, thought about, like what I was learning and how I was raised, and would question it. We'd just kind of be like, I don't know if it all makes sense. I don't know about this. I don't know about that. And then, so eventually I was like, yeah, I'm agnostic. And then I found out that, well, there's a couple definitions. There's agnostic and Gnostic. Gnostic means you know.
Ooh, I don't know this.
Agnostic means you don't know.
Okay.
So for somebody to just say they're agnostic, okay, but are you an agnostic theist that says, I don't know if there's a God, but I'm going to choose to believe? Or are you a Gnostic theist, which is like, no, there's a God, I know. Then there's a Gnostic atheist, which would say, I know that there is no God, which is foolish. It's foolish on both extremes, I would say.
Yeah, exactly.
How
Nobody
do you
knows.
know? No.
Nobody knows.
And then there's agnostic atheists, which would be like, I don't know if there's, or did I already say that one? Anyways, you get the gist out of the other ones.
Gotcha.
So who actually made me make the jump to actually like just say that I'm atheist, because we all are atheists. Then this belief is pushed onto you. Right. So atheist is starting point. Mm-hmm. You're atheist. And I think it was Stephen Colbert on one of his shows. He was just like, because he's a devout Catholic to this point, and he'll throw his jabs in, but he just had a comment about like agnostics are just atheists without balls, and I was like, this motherfucker. I was like, totally right. Like I was always scared of how people would say like, oh man, you're an atheist, but when you realize that atheist is the starting point, it's like, yeah, like what do you mean?
Sure.
Yeah. So it's. I credit Stephen Colbert with that.
I just think it's hard for me now to jump on board with something. I actually tried, over the past, I guess about a year ago is when I stopped. So about a year and a half ago, I started going to my brother's church.
Oh, okay.
And I went every Sunday for a while.
So your brother's here?
Yeah, he lives here.
Okay.
He lives in Tempe. So I started going every Sunday for a while. Just because I felt a lack of like community in my life.
That's the big thing for sure. Atheists lack community.
Yeah. Because I guess nobody's getting together. Like, let's have a our Sunday.
Let's have a non-belief holiday. Yeah.
But I still kind of feel a lack of community in my life.
Yeah.
In general, but the church to me didn't. It was the same thing as when I went back in high school, mm-hmm. and I'm not that I think anything that Christians do is necessarily wrong, mm-hmm. or I think a lot of especially what my brother is preaching, is great. I think he's doing a great thing, and I think mm-hmm. a lot of people get a lot from it,
for sure.
But it just kind of wasn't for me, and I kept going for a while, even though I didn't really feel like I was a Christian, mm-hmm. and then trying to get involved with the group, the community, felt a little like I was like doing them a disservice, because I'm not
and
really.
You don't do disservice, Jeff service.
Yeah, that's right. I only do good services.
I'm sorry. I'm obsessed with puns.
No.
But, go on.
That's funny. I told Ashley, my girlfriend, that I was going to be doing this with you. and she met you at the
Yeah.
Christmas party or whatever, and she
She's fun.
remembered you, and she remembered that you were a father and stuff like that. And I was like, and she was like, so what kind of podcast is it? A dad podcast? And I was like, funny you should say that, because I sent her the title of, I was like, it's called This Juan Time.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, perfect. It's just such a dad title.
It really is. It took me like 10 minutes to come up with, because I was thinking of like all these things.
Oh, it's so good. And I can't believe that you have thisjuantime.com. That's
I had to jump on it.
beautiful.
You have to, because somebody else will find it, and then they're going to charge you, $2,000.
Yeah.
How bad do you want it?
Yeah. Well, now you have that option if you ever just decide to give it up.
Give it up. Yeah. And some other Mexican wants to step into my shoes. Yeah. No, I totally get I get where you're coming from too, because that workout group I've been trying to get you out to on Saturdays, they're called F3, and I think it's like fellowship. I don't think it's friendship, because I think that would be fellowship, right? Fitness,
So
fellowship, and faith. I think is what
so.
it
There
is.
is like a Christian aspect to it.
There is, but there's articles out there where it's like, I come here, I'm not really a believer, or we don't push our values on you, which they don't, they haven't, and they never asked me. I guess they maybe assume that I'm there, so maybe I do, and most people are in belief of it.
Mm-hmm.
But we end every workout with they'll bring it in, and they'll do a prayer, and I'll sit there. I play softball every now and then. There's a couple of Christian teams out there, and there's one team that will always after the game ask like, hey, let's have a prayer. We ended the game, nobody got hurt, blah, blah, blah. But I do not participate in that. But I'm showing up to this, and it's part of, I'm getting it. It's part of the thing. And while they do mention Yahshua, I just take it as, the universe. Like you said, like you're spiritual. Like I've been working on maybe, throwing it up to, the universe. Maybe there is a God, but not in the sense of the scripture.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was going to my brother's church for a while there, I kind of, even though I didn't I didn't necessarily identify as a Christian, I was still kind of at some point, I was trying to still, adopt what I was learning there and everything to my own sort of way. Mm-hmm. But then, it just seemed to me that the Christian church, it just got way too specific for me.
It does.
And I, these are stories that humans wrote, so I got
a story on that, dude.
And there's nothing wrong with, using a story to help guide your life, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's for me, it's just not necessary to go that deep into old stories.
Yeah, it really isn't. But some people, I was gonna say earlier, that some people do need that just like, it's not totally in my control. Here you go, guide me. We all are looking for guidance, because we're all lost. I mean, nobody really knows how to maneuver their way through life perfectly. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's some sense of comfort in, hey, here you go. I believe in you. I trust in you. Guide me.
Yeah. There's a book I read. Have you heard of Ram
Green
Dass?
Eggs and Ham?
Have you heard of
Ram Dass? That is the pilgrimage that the Muslims do.
No, this is a person. Oh. Ram Dass.
Well,
is his name. I think his name was Richard Alpert, I think. And so he was around with Timothy Leary.
Timothy Leary, he's the drug guy. Right?
So yeah, he's the LSD.
Our savior.
Sure. Yeah. So Richard Alpert was around back, when they first were doing a lot of that back in the 60s. And then he went to India and became Ram Dass, got enlightened. And I'm butchering the whole story, obviously, but
well, of course, but proceed.
What I was getting at is in his book, Be Here Now, great book. Mm-hmm. He talks mainly about going deeper within yourself, like kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Everybody knows what's going on. You just have to go. He says, take it deeper within. You know, everybody's looking for God and everything outside of themselves, but it's already
within you.
It's already inside.
Yeah. That's the fucking theme from Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah,
that's the theme, because they're all fighting over this script, this little scroll.
It's also the theme for Star Wars, the Force. It's all within you and everything. Yeah.
Well, what's his name? David Goggins, aka the hardest man on Earth or in the world. One of his big quotes is, "Most people give up at 40%," and I think he would even take it.
I've heard that.
He would take it even further and say like 25 or 30%.
Yeah, you're only ever doing 30% of what you actually
your
could
potential.
Do. Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy, I don't know if it was him, but I heard it from this one guy that was saying, I forgot, he had a trainer or something, and the trainer was like, all right, today what you're going to do is 100 pull-ups in a row.
It was him. Yeah. It was the CEO of a water company. Like Aquafina, something like that. No, coconut. What's the coconut milks? Anyways, Vita Coco, that guy. Yeah, that was a great JRE podcast. I think that's where it was.
That's probably where I heard it.
Yeah, he had that where it was like, we're gonna do 100 push-ups, motherfucker, and he's like, you think I'm joking? No, get to it. And he did 12, and then it's like, okay, another 88, and by the end of the day, before they left, he had hit 100, but it took him X amount, and then he was like, whoa, I didn't really know I had that in me.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally, dude. Like, just push yourself and believe in yourself, and then you can rise to it. Not that you're not going to face adversity. Of course, everybody does. But yeah, such a good story.
Yeah.
But I think we're running out of time here, Mr. Service.
Oh, there's a time limit, huh?
Well, there's a bladder limit.
Yeah.
and then I do still have some fatherly duties that I have to attend to.
Good.
So
I felt like this was good. How long did we go? About?
It was great. Probably too long for some people, but
we can cut it up.
Yeah. No, man, let's post it raw dogging it, dude. That's all we're doing.
Definitely I'd love to do this again. I think we could push this even further.
No, for sure. And like I said, we worked on some music before we started this, so there will be those ventures to just still kind of comb through and maybe proceed with. But yeah, man, it's been awesome. So on Facebook, just Jeff Service Music.
Yeah, I need to remember all these for next time. But yeah, Jeff Service Music on Facebook.
Yeah.
The biggest thing, if you're into house music or whatever, just
you are.
Play my stuff on iTunes and whatever, Spotify. Just play it.
You're up on all the music platforms.
Yeah, I'm up everywhere.
It's Jeff Service Music or just Jeff Service?
Jeff Service.
So Jeff Service. Perfect. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in to this Juan Time with Juan Montoya. My guest today has been Jeff Service.
Whee!
Hey, if you're into that deep house music, that good old funk house, whatever else you want to call it, check him out. And
I also, just to mention, I do have my side project with my buddy Kai. We're called Secret Agents.
Secret Agents.
Yeah, there's not a lot done by us under that name yet, but we're pushing that name for the future.
Any releases maybe people should come out keep an eye out for?
Well, I mean, if you're a DJ, the stuff comes out on the big sites, Beatport, TrackSource. Those are pretty much where house music DJs would buy their music.
Okay.
So yeah, it's out there. Don't really expect too many house DJs to listen to this, but we'll see.
We shall see. I'll share it with a couple of the DJs that I know, and hopefully they can tune in and just enjoy what they can.
Sweet. And I'm always down to collaborate on other styles too. So if anybody is hears my stuff and is interested in collaboration, I'm always looking for vocalists.
Perfect.
Yeah. Beautiful,
man. All right, man. Well, do you have any shows coming up? Anything we can say?
Nothing right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just hard at work in the studio. So
perfect.
We'll see what happens for next time.
All right, man. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. And everybody have a lovely rest of your day, weekend, month, whenever you get around to listening to this. And we'll be back soon. All right. Later.